We're on.
Love it.
We're not live, but we're recording.
Yes. Yes.
So welcome back to the DORE Podcast, and today we're joined by Sarah Vandenbelt and you're the broker of record at Paradigm Real Estate Brokerage. Mm-hmm. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
And you guys have, I think we'll go into the full spectrum, but obviously, you're responsible for the real estate brokerage. You have deep experience across the Ottawa office, retail, medical, and industrial markets. Mm-hmm. Paradigm is known for helping clients maximize value while simplifying the process.
Yes, thank you.
We took that from your website, so that's
very nice. Yes.
So Sarah, it's a pleasure to have you today, and we're going to get the audience to learn a bit more about you.
Okay.
So welcome. We've had a discussion about your journey and how you got to where you are today, and I thought it was really interesting. So can you tell us? You're not new to this game, right? You. So tell us, how did you get to where you are today in commercial real estate?
So it's sort of similar to many of my colleagues in the industry that commercial real estate is not something that you study in school or that you necessarily even know about when you're in high school, university. So my trajectory was based on family, which many of us in the industry, there is some semblance of that family tie. So for me in particular, I kind of grew up with knowing of what commercial real estate was in some way, shape, or form. My Opa came here from Holland in the Second World War. He was a blacksmith, and so he opened up a steel company when he came to Ottawa and started building commercial buildings. Like he did the structural steel for commercial buildings.
Oh, okay. So blacksmith, and he went into building. Okay.
Yeah. So a lot of the buildings you see in Ottawa right now, and even some of the older commercial or construction companies in the city had worked with him and his shop.
No way.
Yeah.
Good for you. Oh, that's a good.
Yeah, it's a cool kind of segue.
Yeah.
And he started. He obviously ended up buying his shop. Like he did what a lot of my clients do of leveraging their business and then being able to buy the asset that they're operating or planning to operate in. And then he actually just started expanding his portfolio from there, started investing with friends and other family and in commercial buildings. So in doing that, my dad eventually got licensed. And I'm telling you all this context
but it's good. I think it's important because I think sometimes people do podcasts and, it's very surface, right? Yeah. It's just like, they read in a book and they chat GPT'd something, whatever.
Sure, yeah.
And I want to make sure that people know this is not you. Obviously, there's a history of that and you gain from that history. Yeah, so please do elaborate. Yeah.
So my dad got licensed and my Opa wanted my dad to get involved in helping to kind of manage the assets that they were acquiring. And obviously in some cases he was maybe brokering those deals. My uncle got involved. And then my dad ended up jumping around different shops because he was obviously trading, but then the property management side, as you can relate to, took over a good amount of his time. So that wasn't always well received at other commercial brokerages. He finally landed somewhere where he had the flexibility and freedom to help grow the portfolio, manage that, but then also trade.
Okay.
My cousin ended up joining him as a partner, and they essentially just started growing the portfolio. They were managing assets that were family owned or owned by kind of a close-knit group of syndicates, and then they also took on some third party.
Okay. And all commercial?
All commercial. And primarily suburban office and industrial, a sprinkling of retail in there over the years, and primarily all Ottawa and Kingston.
Okay.
So then when I came into the mix, when I was born, I didn't really understand what my dad was doing. I saw that he drove around a lot and he wrote a lot of checks, and I visited him at the buildings, but didn't really understand what that meant until I was older, and certainly wasn't pushed into the industry. It was more of, hey, I think you'd be good at sales. Maybe this is something you should consider getting a real estate license. Maybe go work at a big shop and get the lay of the land and then come work with us if that's something you want to do.
Right.
So I worked in sales roles all up into the final season that I was with the Ottawa Senators for 6 years, and then
that's kind of neat.
Yeah. It was a fantastic experience. That's a whole other podcast episode, but yeah, and got my license and started working with family. So that's really how I was inserted into the industry.
No, that's absolutely.
And the exposure from not just the brokerage side, but also the landlord's perspective of like, what does it look like to acquire buildings, to manage them, to fit them up with tenants, to do project management, and like all of that involves it from that side of it. Yeah. And then got to dabble in the brokerage side.
Interesting. And when with your dad, when you say you got involved in property management, the property management took over, and where does that split look like today? Like, because I know you have a partner with Ashley at Paradigm as well, where she handles commercial property management. But
thank you for finding that out.
No, but I think it's fine. No, because I mean, obviously, I think we'll touch into it. But I understand, you have the partnership with her that handles the commercial property management aspect, which is clearly very different than the brokerage. Yeah. But with your dad, was the split really just, we'll just do brokering deals when we need to, and what management was really the core? Or
I mean, it evolved over the years with their business, and that predated when I joined. But when I joined, it was predominantly the property management, asset management piece, and their focus was more on, okay, how do we focus on the acquisition of growing our portfolio? Right. And they did do third-party property management, but the majority was somehow owned by themselves or a combination of the partners and themselves. So their mandate was more on that and less on the focus on the brokerage. Nice. Which is why I inevitably decided to leave, because I needed more of that brokerage experience. And it was phenomenal, the experience I got with them for 4 or 5 years that I was there. But decided to go and work at a brokerage that was 100% just focused on trading. Sales predominantly, and I got exposure to something completely different. And deciding to leave the family business. Yeah, so you left the family business, went for a brokerage. Because now you own your brokerage. Now I do, yes. That's right, yeah. So I left the family business. I joined a brokerage, a local boutique shop at the time named Cole Commercial. A previous guest of yours. Yeah, Mark Morin. Mark Morin, who's one of the partners. Well, it's funny because when I saw you comment, you put a comment on his video, something like Mark is the man, or something like that. Sure, yeah. So I was like, it's true, they used to work together. Yeah. So Mark and Graham were fantastic mentors. Yeah, I got to meet Graham. Graham's on my list of people to meet. He is a force to be reckoned with. Fantastic guys. They really kind of took me under their wing of okay, their focus was predominantly owner, user, and investment sales. And they thought, okay, we'll bring on Sarah and she can do all the leasing. We end up selling a building to a client and they have a leasing need. Instead of referring it out, Sarah can service that business. That changed significantly. I joined. Okay. And then they really, I'm hopeful, this is what I've been told, that they saw what I was capable of doing and essentially ended up just allowing me to run with all owner user sales. So my focus was 100%, yes, 100% sales. Okay, good for you. And for people that don't know what owner user is, it's buyers that are business owners that are looking at. So they're buying the asset to operate their own business. Exactly. So that's why it's the owner occupant. And they're different types of buyers than an investor. Yeah. An investor would be someone that is just looking at the dollars and cents of it. Does it cash flow? What's the upside? What's the long-term play? That piece of it. Yeah. And it's really just a numbers game. There's no emotion involved whatsoever. Whereas I really like working with owner users, and spoiler alert, that's still my focus. Because they're business owners. Yes. They're looking at leveling up in their business, going from leasing to purchasing, and they're going to use the space in whole or in part, and there may be an income play there as well. Right. So I ran with that and kind of off of the backs of a lot of their relationships, but then really kind of grew it to a point where I felt like, okay, my next step is what? And from there, and decided to partner with Ashley Hopkins, who owned Paradigm Properties at the time, property management broker or property management firm. Yes. And she was just commercial. Just commercial. No brokerage. No brokerage. Right. Okay. We became friends over 10 years ago, got introduced as females in the industry, roughly the same age. Yeah. We were at the Real Estate Forum, which is that big conference that happens in Ottawa. in a sea of navy suits of all men, and one of the other 10 females in the room of 800 people came up and said, "You guys should know each other." And so it was literally like month 2 of me being in the industry.
No way.
And so we met and we stayed, like we became fast friends, obviously, you know, someone you can talk shop with, but then also go and have a drink with, and gets you and really understands the coming up in the industry and making your way and kind of building your career.
Yeah.
And we'd always like talked pie in the sky of like, what would it look like for us to work together in a more meaningful way? And she always left the door open to say like, well, you know, it would be great to have a brokerage arm, you know. And when I started having these thoughts of like, okay, well, what's my next step? You know, I'm doing predominantly my own self-generated business. I really want to coach. I really want a team. What would that look like? And she was like, okay, well, if we can figure out a way to stay friends and become partners and keep it, you know, structured in a way that makes sense for everybody, let's do it. And we figured that out. Yeah. So. Yeah,
I think I from an outsider looking in, I think the best partnerships are the ones where you each have their own roles, you make their own decisions. You can make some decisions together, but I mean, everybody has, and it seems to me like that's the way you're set up. So it seems like you're set up on a platform to be able to leverage and not have any partnership issues.
So Ashley's focus, she does commercial property management.
Yes.
A lot of her portfolio is more retail, but she does do industrial and office as well. She stays away from residential and leaves it for experts like
they send it to me.
Exactly. She sends the business to you and stays in her lane. But they don't just do, you know, the property management, like the day-to-day operations. They do the asset management piece, the accounting, the project management, construction management, like you name it, from you know, lease renewals to do you need to replace the roof to a full new tenant fit up, like the whole 9 yards. So it parlayed quite nicely.
And you're glossing over that, but that's a lot of work. And to have that in-house, where you can, you know, secure an asset, but have an arm that can enable all of those aspects. Is a huge benefit.
Well, and what kind of opened that door was we started working on a couple files together. So I had a client that bought a pretty large asset. They're a business owner. They're going to occupy part of it. They're going to have tenants. There's a big project. There's a lot of moving parts. Like, they're not going to self-manage that. And so bringing Ashley into the mix was phenomenal. Like, even as early as just due diligence, we got it under contract and brought her and her team into the mix. So they helped us with the whole due diligence piece of you know, what is actually going on with the asset, the status of the capital items. Okay, what would be the process to bring the buyer in there and occupy the space? How much is it going to cost? And so she really was a partner in that. And this was before we even worked together. This was when I was at Coble.
Oh, nice.
And so it was almost like a courtship, a dating before you get married type of scenario of like, how could this work? We didn't know it at the time. And they're still a mutual client today. So they ended up buying the building. She now manages the asset. We've stepped in over the years to help with some leasing to kind of plug the holes for them and keep the income flow going. And she and her team now manage the asset.
And the complexity of all these things that you bring to the table in one shop, I think is a big benefit. But I mean, it could be somebody who owns a building now that's looking for, you know, sell off in several years, and setting up the property management, all of the upkeep and everything, the lease, making sure to bring it to a situation where you could bring it to market and sell it, right?
Or with some business owners, you know, the benefit that I see of the purchase versus lease as a business owner, where, you and I both know that perhaps those deals may be underwritten a little bit differently than a pure investment play. If a business owner is buying it, it's based more on comparable approach and like, tell me if I'm getting too far into the weeds.
No, but that's a bit, I mean, I think the people who love these conversations will appreciate you saying
a
the
little
difference.
bit into the weeds,
because I think but it's in the weeds, but it's 3 types of, I mean, you have owner user, strict investment play, and then in between where they can occupy part of it, and but all of those, you know.
And so when I talk to certain business owners and they're really trying to understand, okay, do I lease? Do I purchase? You know, what's the inflection point? What makes sense for me? And I think talking about that long-term play of, okay, well, what is your plan with your business? Well, yeah, eventually I would maybe want to sell my business or maybe there's a succession plan in place or whatever. Like that asset, the building that they hopefully would inevitably purchase is a big play in their retirement.
Absolutely.
Right? So whether they keep the asset, sell the business, lease it back to them, or they sell it as a package, that's a big play. And bringing Ashley in and her team in to manage that, and also just think long term. Okay, not only just from like the management of like keeping the asset up to code. It's more of, okay, she does step in with the accounting and the future planning, even down to the nuts and bolts of like, okay, how can we find you good refinancing?
Right.
And how does that play?
Because in today's world, that's the challenge, I guess.
Yeah, it is.
Like a strict investment play is not an easy...
No, and even the owner user, right? Because in some cases, they're paying more than what they would as an investor, right? Premium, because they're, as long as their business can support the debt, the bank will say no problem. So that's where, you know, bringing both of us into the mix, if they're looking at occupying, you know, 25% or more of it, and then having tenants, and then looking, okay, what would be your phase out plan if your business did leave?
Right.
Could the income support the debt on
with
this?
Another company.
Or could we get to the point where this building can stand alone without your business supporting it, and then you could just sell your business, or you could just retire and close up shop and then just like live off of this income. So all of those things are part of the play, and sometimes the numbers don't make sense for that, but that's okay because they're building equity, and then they can pull that equity to buy you know, an investment property.
And I can imagine too, if they're running their business out of it, if they sell the business, keep the asset, they could just lease it back to the new buyer, and then
100%, or they just sell the whole thing as a package. And I've had many clients over the last few years come to me and say, hey, I want to sell my business and I want to sell my building, but they're, you know, service-oriented business. There's no succession plan. Like they really are the business. Or it's a business that's really like, for lack of a better example, like a print shop as an example. Where, you know, these small print shop guys are getting pushed out. So what is really valuable? What asset do you have there to cash out and retire on? Your building. So we've had a couple of those tough conversations of like, okay, well, the reality is you're not going to sell this as a package. But we're going to maximize the price on the building, and good foresight on the fact that you bought the asset. Because this is your ticket to retirement.
That's right.
So I think reminding business owners, like when they're young and they're like, okay, well, this is expensive. I could lease and probably pay a couple $1,000s less a month. Well, what is the long-term play, the equity building, the succession plan? Like what do you really want to get out of this as part of it? And we fully digressed.
No, you didn't digress. This is exactly down the pipe, because what you bring to the table, again, is not a sliver of that decision. Because it's one thing to look at comparables and make a decision solely based on dollars and cents, but it's another complete other ball of wax to look at the whole holistic aspect of it and look at it. And I think it's great because having both components, not just the selling aspect, because selling is the transaction's there, it's done, but the whole asset management afterwards, bridging you into multiple different venues, you know, to offset at a certain point.
And I mean, property management may not be a fit for every single owner user. Right?
Yeah, if it's an owner user, perhaps maybe not as much, or
always.
maybe.
And the
sometimes,
example of obviously the client that Ashley and I work with, I mean, it's a 13,000 square foot building they're occupying one floor of. So there's probably 15 other tenants that need to be managed. Like they're smaller tenants, but those does require someone, unless you have someone in your team step in to do that. Maybe for the dentist who just has like a standalone asset, having a property management firm maybe isn't the play, unless they're looking at opening up multiple locations, inquiring multiple things, then maybe having someone come in to look at it as a whole makes a little bit more sense. But that is my focus, more the owner user. But I do have a team of other agents that work at the brokerage that kind of have other focuses. That's worth mentioning. That was part of what I want to make sure. But it's great. No, let's lead into that, because obviously obviously your focus is important. The complementary services that Ashley brings to the table, I think, is
I think is a huge bonus for you guys, which is great.
I agree, but I'm slightly biased. But yeah, coming to the brokerage,
it's okay. You do biased. It's your business.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was great, as opposed to and when I was at that inflection point of deciding what direction I want to go after Coble and doing my own thing. And is it going to work with family again? Is it going to a Royal LePage commercial? Is it going to an EXP or and operating my own brand under that? I really saw that benefit, not only for me, but also for the clients as well, of just getting access to more of that expertise. Yep. And it's, Ashley, but she also has a team of 8 staff.
Okay.
She's got property managers, she's got accounting people, and she's got building operators. So even silly little questions that we have about due diligence, getting access to vendors like a roofer or an HVAC guy when I'm going through that process, or a client that calls me years after they purchase an asset and they're like, what do I do?
Yep.
Ashley is always the person, or one of her staff are always the person to step in and say like, okay, here's how you would deal with that.
Okay.
Same with, I've even had instances recently where clients bought buildings where they had tenants and tenants did midnight moves, or they're behind on rent, or things happen. And that's where I can lean on her expertise to say, okay, what would, from a legal perspective, what are the rights of the landlord? What are the best next steps here so that we protect the client? And no one's getting paid to provide this advice.
Yep.
But that is, the onus is on us and providing that full, that holistic service to the client, which is
great for the relationship.
100%, but also just it's that feel good of also we're helping you buy something. Like, it's not just the deal's done, we walk away.
Right.
We're always here for that resource and that support, whatever that looks like. And going back to the rest of the team, I started as a one girl shop, and then I brought on.
And I just want to say, one girl shop that won the 40 under 40, but we'll hit after that.
Yeah, I didn't win 40 under 40 by myself, but I recruited Nala Loizen, who was a residential agent before, and to come help support my files and provide that white glove service to the clients, which she was doing very well in the residential world. And then,
and what does she focus on?
So she is supporting my clients predominantly. Okay, she is doing a lot of those owner user transactions, but she also has plenty of her own clients where it's more office leasing, a little bit of retail and industrial leasing as well.
Okay.
So she's servicing a lot of our listings, which are more owner user, but there's a lot of the leasing work she has really picked up and run with on her own.
Good for her.
And certainly has her own flow of referrals from her residential network.
Yep.
And then you are very familiar with Nick Hanna.
Of course. Well, Nick, funny enough, Nick connected with me on a multi-res client during COVID.
Yes, that's right.
And when he was working at another firm, and
he was probably working at Coble with me.
No, he's working at CBRE.
Oh, right.
Yeah, at the time.
Right.
Yeah, and and it's just interesting because when we connected, then I was like, this seems like a nice guy to work with. He's fairly intense, and I enjoy that about him. And so we always stay connected. And it's funny how everything comes back to, that's how I met Mark, and then Mark, okay, then you work with Mark, and then then you come.
Ottawa is so small,
yeah.
And we've talked about this before, just like the power of relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. And Nick was at Leonard, and that's the reason why I met Leonard, because I'm like, I'd like to work with him, and he's gone now, but
he's gone. Now you have to come work.
He's gone. He works with you.
So Nick and I worked together at Coble and continue to work together at Leonard. And Leonard was fantastic in that they fully let us co-list, as you know.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And there was a lot of that
They're a great brokerage, yeah.
Exactly. There was a lot of that collaboration, and they were great for that. So we continue to work together, and then it was just like a natural evolution. So Nick's focus is industrial. He is the industrial guy. Definitely one of the top industrial agents in Ottawa. And so anything from leasing, sales, even like land and development, predominantly owner user on the sales side, but certainly has cut his teeth on some larger investment stuff as well. So he's the industrial guy. And then Rafiq Gabriel joined us around the same time Nick did. He comes from the banking world. So he was the VP of commercial at Meridian Credit Union.
Okay.
So he ran a team of bankers there.
Yeah, I was going to say,
so
that's good knowledge.
He is like our in-house finance guru.
Yes.
And either he will know how to navigate a complicated file, or someone in the network, he'll be able to pull someone in to help us. Yep. So that's been a fantastic resource. But his focus, a lot of the financing that he did at Meridian was a lot of hotels.
Oh, right. I remember you telling me that. So that's a niche.
Yes. And there really isn't anyone in Ottawa that is focused on that. Like, there's one gentleman from Colliers in Toronto that does all of the hotel deals pretty much in all of like Eastern Ontario, probably the bulk of Ontario. So he's really cornered the market. So Rafik has a lot of clients that he worked with previously, and so he understands that market, and so he's been great at sourcing off-market opportunities for his buyers. So he's working on that, and he dabbles in some multi-res investment, and he also has some healthcare clients as well, so we kind of overlap and collaborate on that. He's just the type of person that you just got a fantastic network, right? So clients have just come out of the woodwork and want to work with him. But yeah, he's been great. So yeah, so at some point we'll want to bring in more of the retail office kind of expertise and things like that, or maybe someone like a Nala that can do more tenant rep. But yeah, it organically grew based on relationships. But super excited about where the team's going.
Because the brokerage, you started brokerage when exactly?
Just over 2 years ago.
Okay, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, exactly. That's just that in of itself, and then to move to the next steps and
taking a step back and looking at that. Again, that wasn't the mandate. It was really for me to operate my own business, right, under my own brand. It wasn't necessarily like, oh, let's build this big shop. But my husband, he took a little bit of a step back from one of his businesses to help. And then it now became a bigger beast than I think we both anticipated, our third baby, essentially. He's been integral to really making it a business versus just me working with my clients.
Good for you. Good for you.
Good.
That's always fun to have that support, and then organically attract the right people.
Working with your spouse is interesting for sure. But
interesting.
No, well, I mean, it's been shockingly really good.
No, because
you don't know.
Exactly.
You don't know until
it's
you know.
It's not easy.
There
has to be boundaries, I'm assuming, but
there absolutely has to be boundaries, and we're both alpha personalities. But I think you just learn how to stay in your lanes, right? You're subject matter experts in your own areas, and then you figure it out.
But it's good to have that support both ways.
Absolutely, right? And his expertise is completely, because he hasn't been in real estate really. And so he has all the areas of the business that I'm not good at. All of the operations side and the tech and all of the innovation and just thinking outside the box of where industry is going. That's the stuff that, you get in the mix in the deals, and you're worried about, okay, what am I working on today? Not where is this going to go, big picture.
No, that's great. I'm happy for you. Like it's so fun to hear that and to go through that progression, and who knows where things are going to go, right?
Exactly,
One of the things I know you won the 40 under 40. Can you speak about that a bit? Like, when was that? Good for you, first off.
Thank you. Thank you.
What was that about? Like, what's that award about? And
it's interesting because you brought that up the other day, and then you're like, what is this?
I know what it is, but I want to hear it from your perspective, right?
Yeah, sure. 40 under 40 is an annual, I guess, cohort or award that the Ottawa Business Chamber and the Ottawa Business Chamber and the OBJ. They partner.
I think,
They essentially open up applications, and the business community submits. So you have to be 39 or under on the day of the event. The event's in June. And so it's a pretty hefty process for the application, everything down to specific financials. You have to have a lot of community involvement. You have to demonstrate that you're an industry expert, that you have implemented a lot in your business for growth. And they look at entrepreneurs, but then they also look at people that are perhaps in healthcare, not-for-profit, and then more of the enterprise type of candidates, partners at major law firms or bankers and things like that, where they're not owners or entrepreneurs, but they are growing in their own right in their careers.
Yep.
So they try to get a cross section, but I think it's more heavily weighted on entrepreneurs,
Yep.
as it should be.
I think so. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, selfishly,
movers and shakers. Yeah.
So this was my first year applying, and it was a little scary. I was on my my mat leave at the time with my second, and did the application really not assuming anything, and ended up winning, and it was really fun for sure. They picked 40 people.
Yeah.
So the focus isn't all on you.
Yeah.
And there certainly is a marketing branding uptick that you benefit
Absolutely.
from it.
Yeah.
And a little bit more exposure. And then the gala itself was really fun. And we had my parents and my in-laws and the team and all. It was just, it was a fun thing for sure. It's a cool thing to put on your resume and your LinkedIn, and certainly has helped in the business.
Good. Yeah, because I was surprised when you were telling me like the extent of how the extent of where they go to in order to choose the people. So it's so hats off to you.
Thank you.
You won it. You got it.
Now I don't have to worry about it.
Next.
Now it's 50 under 50.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So and based on what you're seeing today, like where do you see the industry going with what you're working on? Like what do you see? I know financing's a challenge. The owner user seems to be the go-to for many realtors, because obviously that's where there's a bit more of an appetite for people to move and to actually get financing. Yeah. But where do you see things going? Like
I mean, there's so many categories that we can go with.
No, but in what you're working in.
I mean, I think that it's interesting. Before we started recording, we were talking a lot about some of these creative solutions to deals. Mm-hmm. That I think will pick up even more steam. A lot of these VTBs, because the financing is becoming a lot more difficult. And even on the most credible buyers that in theory are the most bankable, they're not even getting the best deal terms anymore. Yeah. So we are having to get creative and look at some of these VTBs or lease to owns or lease back solutions and all kinds of different things to make deals happen. Yep. But I think the owner user buyer profile is way more bankable than investors. However, I mean, it's hard to say really where things are going to go.
It's tough, right? Yeah.
I think that even on the pricing side, I've certainly seen a softening in a lot of different asset classes. So maybe that will help a lot of people that have been sitting on the sidelines come back to market. It's hard to say where interest rates are going to go.
Yeah, nobody knows, if we knew, we'd make moves now.
That, and I'm like, if I actually had a crystal ball and knew where things were going, I don't think I would be a real estate agent. But
we'd do other things.
We certainly would be doing other things, and probably a lot wealthier than we are now.
But it wouldn't be as fun.
No, it would not be.
It's nice to not know know what's coming.
We would be sleeping a lot better at night. But in the industry as a whole, I think that like brokerage, if you will, and we may have touched on this the other day, but I think AI is a big variable here. And I think that agents, residential, commercial, I think they really have to prove their worth way more than they ever once did. Yeah. It's not just about matchmaking spots. It's not just about like knowing how to run a deal or put an APS together, because now AI can do that for you. They can tell you what clauses, they can tell you what the process is, they can tell you everything. So I think that where brokerage is going is that a lot of his relationships. Yeah, we were saying that's the big thing. That is the key. Yeah, relationships. I think without your network, without your relationships, and without knowing the really like intricate details of how the city works and how certain banks work, that AI wouldn't be able to tell you at this stage. I'm sure it will at some point. Without really honing your craft and going like 3 steps further than like what a basic real estate agent can do, I think is where people need to spend their time. And your personal brand and your network is going to be what guides us through. And it'll cut the fat, which is not a bad thing, because I think the pandemic did a lot of that with office leasing in general, and a lot of people got out of it. And I think now with this next phase, it's exciting in a lot of ways, because I think we have access to a lot of things that'll make our jobs way more efficient. We would be better for our clients. But I think we're just gonna have to work that much harder to show the value and being that real strategic advisor. Yeah, with AI, it's so funny when I do a lot of research on my own, just trying to get a sense of how do you use it. A lot of it is
really scary, because then when you start thinking about what it could do, but on a positive note, I think that one of the things that comes out of it that I always come back to is the fact that, first off, ignoring it is not an option. You can't ignore it. Being afraid of it is not going to serve you. Being aware, but learning how to use the tool to make yourself more productive, to serve your clients a bit better, and obviously we share the same ideals with respect to creating relationships that are everlasting.
Yep.
Obviously, more so than anything. And these are, I think it comes through this discussion how it's just for you. It's not just a transaction. You're not there to just collect a commissions check. It really is to try to look at the client's needs, and then provide services to bring them closer to their goals.
Yep.
And if you can use AI tools to make that service even better, I think that's where everybody stands out, right? So if you can use tools to take out the mundane things and then make yourself more productive, I think that's where I think everybody needs to focus on. So it'd be interesting to see where it goes, but nobody knows. But it's interesting, because it's, and I don't think it's not going to take 10 years for us to know. Like we're several years away.
Week by week, day by day.
So
like you said, it's exciting, but I think it's also like a point in time that we need to be reflective of, okay, what value are we really bringing here, and how can we make that one step further to make ourselves even more valuable to our clients and support them more than just providing basics of transaction management.
Exactly. And even looking at everything you do and saying, like, which steps can you remove and then focus on the stuff that
how can we be more efficient? How can we sell properties quicker for our clients, leveraging these tools and do it hopefully a little bit more efficient and better than perhaps some of our competitors. And the fact that we are small, we can be a lot more agile, and we can test and we can innovate, similar to a lot of the things that you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I'm in the same, we're in the same realm for sure.
What makes us powerful, right? In that we're not like a big machine that's going to move slow and be slow to adopt and have people internally be like scared and not sure, and there's a more like liability concerns. Whereas we can test and change and be quick on our feet and using these things to really support our clients. No, that'd be, we got to focus on the positive, but I think it'll be interesting to see as things go by. So to hit back the tenant fit up, obviously Ashley would help out if that was that, but it's done in-house. Property management, obviously commercial focused. The listing and brokerage strategy obviously is in your purview, and I mean we went to we dabbled a bit in what you do specifically in your team, so I think anybody that requires that service would be well served. So there's also construction management obviously that you brought up that Ashley would take on, and I'm assuming those are for assets that you guys have under management or not a third Either
party.
Or. She would do third party and has.
Okay.
She certainly has stepped in and supported some of our clients on projects and has done fully third party stuff as well.
Okay.
So, the goal would be to make that arm of the business a lot larger, but it's something that they 100% could support. They just have been quite busy with growing their portfolio of clients and the management side, then going down the path of growing a construction.
And it's a whole other ball game.
Yes,
And then obviously the buyer and tenant representation is, we touched on, so those are services. And I know, you haven't mentioned it, but I think one of the things that you'd mentioned in the past that may be something that's coming down the future is having an arm that focuses on financing.
Perhaps,
right?
Yeah.
You just never know, right?
No.
If you put it out there, you just never know. You may attract somebody else.
Who knows? Yeah, I think the way that Ashley in particular structured Paradigm Group of companies is that the hope that we could bring other services in-house to support our clients, and there's so much synergy there. Whether it's financing or construction, there's a lot of other ways that we can go with that. So we're open.
Yeah, because I would suspect that if you have financing in place, then it's a matter of just matching the right
not
product
everyone. The whole thing of having the brokerage in-house, having the property management, it's not a guarantee that our clients are going to the way that we always operate is that we provide multiple options. If someone asks me for a management referral, I provide Ashley among others.
Right.
Ashley will provide my name among others.
Sure.
And the same thing would be, that is the most ethical way
Yeah,
of doing
that's
it.
fair.
We have a fiduciary duty to our clients. So if there is a mortgage broker in-house or an advisory arm for appraisals, as an example, or a law firm or something like that. Again, we're pie in the sky here, but
pie in the sky is good sometimes.
They would be an option among other options,
Yep.
and I think that is the most like ethical way of providing those services without it shoving it down clients' throats.
No, exactly. But it's a good option because a lot of times they come in and it's like they're looking for referrals for XYZ. So if you have that option,
they want the white glove in the sense of, okay, provide me that one-stop shop, and it would be awesome if we can go down that path.
Yeah. Well, I'm rooting for you.
Time will tell.
I'm rooting for you. So Sarah, thank you for joining us today in the podcast and giving us a closer look at how Paradigm Commercial Real Estate and Paradigm Commercial Group of companies, I think is what it refers to, how that's set up.
Yep.
We need to get Ashley now. We'll call her out right on this podcast. We need to get Ashley on to talk to her about her things. So if anybody's looking to learn more about you, the company, I guess you have a website. It's paradigmcommercial.ca.
Yeah.
Okay. And obviously you're active on LinkedIn, right?
Yep.
You won the 40 under 40, but let's. and obviously you also have an Instagram handle at Paradigm Ottawa.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Good. So if anybody wants to get a hold of you, your
LinkedIn is probably the best.
LinkedIn is the best way.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, because I know you're fairly active on LinkedIn, and so that's good.
Yeah.
And as always, if anybody wants to like, subscribe, or turn on your notifications so you never miss an episode of the DORE Podcast, is what Mike told me to say, because I never say it.
Good job.
Yeah. Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.